Hello everybody and welcome back to your first aid on coding, brought to you by Cupertino High School Robotics. So, last time we talked about what a string is, the uses of the string variable type, the differences in between what a string variable and a char variable are, and using the string variable with a char. As you can see here, we added a string variable to the char variable up here, right here in this line. So we talked about how you can add a char variable's value to a string variable's value, and that wouldn't return an error, and it would work. So these are certain things that we talked about. If any of this looks like new information, we recommend that you go back and view our previous videos, which were about strings, and it's also recommended that you go and view our video about variables and other data types in general, before we continue on with this tutorial. Moving on, we're first going to be starting off with string properties and what they are. So let's first get started by creating a new class in our first aid package, or whatever you called it. I forgot to click on my main method button, but no worries. So here we're defining a main method. Remember that everything in the main method is what gets executed. So let's start off simple. We're going to start off with a string. Sample string is equal to robotics. So we've defined a variable. Quickly, and we've assigned it the value robotics. Now let's move on. So with string variables, you can create substrings, which are basically smaller segments of this string. You can find its length. You can find index positions, which we will be talking about soon. And you can also find the position of a char variable value in the string. So I wanted to find the value where O is, and I could do that. So first off, we're going to be finding the length, which the length is obviously an integer, so we can say int string length, and defined int variable for the length of the sample string variable. What this variable does is going to store the length, and we're going to print the length of this string by accessing this variable, which stores that data. So the line is, to find the length of a string, you say the string variable name dot length, and then parentheses. It's a subroutine, so it's a short method you just use, and it's built into Java, so nothing special required. And this integer will store that data. So the string variable name in this case is sample string and dot length. So what we've done here is, this is the line you use to find the length of any string. Returns an integer. This line returns an integer, and the integer it's returned we've stored in this variable. So this represents the value returned when we asked when we're asking Java for the length of the word robotics in this case. Then we store that return value in this variable so we can do things with it. So let's just print length. The length of the word, and then we can just get a little special with this sample string is string length. So what we've done here is we've written out a sentence. So the length of the word, and then there will be a space, and the word will go in between, that's sample string. So whatever we set sample string to, that's what it's going to be, is, and then, a period, and that is a number. So the number will be the string length. So let's go for it and see what happens. There we go. The length of the word robotics is 8. I think we should change this to phrase, and we can say, my bed is a great activity to have. And keep in mind that this will also include the dots. So this will include any characters that you have, including spaces. And there you go, 39. So this will return your length, so that's relatively simple. So we're just going to space it out a little by just saying, again, this. So now we're going to go into our next concept, which is, I think I'm going to go with substrings last. For now, I think we should stick with the index position. So what we could do is, say, ask for, say you wanted the fourth. First, let's change the value here. So you'll get what I'm doing. Ugh, why can I not do anything today? There we go. Just one word, so it's easier to work with, you see. So now what I'm going to do is I want to find the fifth letter. I know that's T, but how do I ask the computer to find the fifth letter for me? What I do is I ask it, find the fifth character. That's a comment. Of course, the computer won't read that. Wish it did. So the line is to find the nth char in a string, returns a char character. What it would do is I would say string variable name dot char at position -1. So if you wanted to find the fifth one, you would enter 4. Why? Because in computers always begin with 0. So that's an additional note we should make. Computers suck at counting. So first would be 0. Second would be 1. Third index for anything would be 2. Fourth would be 3, and so on and so forth. So If I wanted to find the first letter, I would have to say the char at position 0 of the string. So in this case, it would be position 4 because you're asking for the 5th character. So let's do that. So char position at 5 is equal to sample string, which is our string variable name is sample string dot char at, you've included the subroutine here, you're calling it, and lastly you would just include 4 because accesses the value at position 4, also known as the 5th position, because of computer counting. And computer counting again is up here, so it's all connecting. So now what you have is you want to print the data system.out.println again the 5th character in the word. And this is where you could get creative, so you can have whatever word you want and just put in the variable name, sample string, just like we did up here. It doesn't matter what the phrase is or the word is, as long as it's sample string, it can be whatever you want, so you don't have to change this every time. You just need to change the variable name, or sorry, the variable value once, and it will change this whole statement value for you. So the 5th character in the word sample string, which in this case is robotics, it will return is, and you got to remember the spaces because it doesn't just account for spaces by itself. The 5th character, okay, so is, and we want to say position at 5. Remember that we can just add char variables to string variables, so it will return our statement for us. So prints the 5th character and the word. Good stuff. So now let's just run it and we'll see what happens. And there we go. It prints out T. So, you know, we can have this, I don't know, Iron Man. This is going to return something cool. You see that? The 5th character. So it returned the 5th character, which is a space bar. Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. Yep. So you can return the 5th character. So, you can return any character. If you wanted to return the 6th or 6th, you would do that. Then you just update this. Change the variable name just to make things fun. And there we go. Variable name changing wasn't important. It was just to remove confusion, because if you had something at the 5th position and you name at the 6th position here and you called it position at 5, that's kind of weird, because I mean that's like it's weird. That's like me putting, I don't know, toys in a fruit basket. That's the random example I came up with just now. It's extremely irrelevant, It kind of throws the programmer off. It's like it's putting things where they don't belong. So you want to always make sure that you're naming your variables correct. Like I could have called this some random word. I don't know. I could have called it metal slug, and it would have ran if I changed all the names to metal slug. But it's horribly irrelevant. Entirely, like, you are not going to understand what the code means. People you're working with will not understand what your code means. So you always want to make sure you're naming your variables correctly. Okay. Now we can go and learn about substrings.